Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sellik the Thunder podcast, episode number 35, and it's back the way we started. You know, what is it she says again? It's all right when you're coming on, you got to get right back to where you started from. Is that the words? I don't know. But we're here, we're back. Look at you.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. We're back when we started. That's what I'm just basically trying to say. We're in isolation. Well, two of us are. Two of us have tested positive for the COVID-19. Kieran, the question is, who gave it to who? Was it me? Was it you?
It was fucking you, defo. I never gave it to any cunt. You started showing symptoms first.
Well, all right. You can see Kieran's bitter about it. He's upset that he's been stuck in all weekend. You're sweating, aren't you? You've got the
fucking roasting.
I'm fine. Like honestly, I'm completely fine. I had a slight cough. I've been going about my day as normal. I've kept hydrated. Took plenty of ibuprofen, and I feel ready to go. You know, I'm feeling like it's just a normal
I don't
day.
feel terrible, but just my smell's away. So
you're so
that might be a good thing, to be honest, man. That's fucking room.
Kieran, that's what I thought you meant at first. I thought you meant like, oh, the smell in my room's away or something. I didn't like just the way I processed that. Kieran all smells away. Ryan, you've managed to dodge it. Despite the fact we were like living it up, I think you might have just seen me before it became the contagious part of my life. So you've managed to dodge a bullet, and you have been able to attend the last two Celtic games, unlike me and Mr. Auld. I take it you're just you're liking sticking it to us right now.
I'm not going to be like that because I feel bad that you weren't there. I've really enjoyed the past two games. I took my wee brother to one of his first Celtic games the other day, so it's been really good to get to the games, two high quality games for different reasons. But I've just been living my life as normal, unlike yours, which I feel quite bad for.
I love how you really had to stick it in there, unlike yours, didn't you?
It'd be awkward if I didn't.
I've managed to address the elephant in the room.
I've managed to make the most of my time. I've managed to get about my day, and I think it's been alright. Made a few videos, enjoyed myself. It's just a shame there's another fucking 5 days to go. Ryan, you've been awful busy. Before we get into the Celtic chat, you've been awful busy in the old Twitter Spaces as well recently. That's becoming a regular thing. How's that going?
My Twitter followers are going up so much. Honestly, I think I've gained about 1,000 followers in about a week, which is absolutely mental. This Twitter Spaces, it's just one of those new things that you can just do with your followers, and it seems to be really popular with everybody. I like how it doesn't get recorded as well, so you can basically say what you want and not have any sort of accountability when it comes back to bite you in the arse. So that's quite good. It's good experience for like presenting as well. Obviously, I'll be doing the 67 Hail Hail presenting as well, so it's good to get that sort of preparation in the bag. But it's been going really well, and everybody is enjoying tuning in, so I'm going to keep them going.
And I'll let you plug one more thing, because you've plugged your own Twitter, you've plugged 67 Hail Hail, so I'll let you plug that beautiful shirt you're wearing there. So that is a belter. Where did you get that?
So I kindly got this from AJ Celtic. He's on one of those, I think it's one of those big cartel sort of websites. I've got stickers from him before. They're all high quality. I've got Kyogo stickers, Abada stickers. If you go onto the shop, there's everything you can find on there. Basically, any sort of Celtic merch, you'll find it.
Are you going to go to the Ibrox at midnight next week and start plastering them around the stadium?
Yes, actually, that sounds absolutely brilliant. That's if COVID doesn't catch up with me. I still feel as if I deserve COVID after news getting it. It'll catch me somehow. But no, I'm more positive going into that game than I would have been a couple of weeks ago. So you never know. I might plant a few stickers around.
Well, we'll get to that. Oh, Jesus. You really don't mind, like, building this image of being the pure sour one day? Like, you want to be clipped, don't you?
I'll be honest. That's another sort of anecdote that I could bring into this. Yesterday, I shouted some amount of abuse at Willie Collum. I actually became a Celtic dad at that point. It was like a transformation. I was like, and I actually quite liked it. It was like, I could keep this up. I'll be championing Lee Griffiths in a wee minute. But, no, I won't go that far. But I felt myself slowly morph into a Celtic dad yesterday, which was quite funny.
That was like me when Beaton got sent off against Midtjylland. But enough about that. Let's get on to the proper conversations. Let's talk about Celtic, because it just keeps getting better and better at the moment. Celtic 6, St Mirren 0 yesterday. Back-to-back 6-0 wins in the league. I've already sat down and gave my sort of opinion on the game itself. I've done my 3 things that we learned yesterday after the game had finished. But it's good to have a proper sit-down conversation about what we've seen between the first and last kick of the ball. Kieran, we were the ones that were unlucky enough to be sitting from home listening to Jerry McCulloch and Peter Grant for 90 minutes. Putting that as... sorry, no Peter Grant. That's David for you, Alan Stubbs. That's David for you. He's talking about Peter Grant that much. Jerry McCulloch and Alan Stubbs for 90 minutes. But taking that aside, watching from home, at least they gave us a good performance, Kieran. It's getting ridiculous at this point how much we're doing on the pitch between, the first and last whistle, and we're just unstoppable at the moment.
I know, it's good to get the performances like that. I mean, it's the one you're hoping that we can go out and put out performances like that against teams like St Mirren. I mean, I know it was sort of helped with the red card, but I think even without that, we'd have still won very, very comfortably. Anyway, we were in control of that game, absolutely no bother, before Power went and done what he usually does and just acts like a absolute brute. I'm not saying we've not had people like that in the past at Celtic, but it just seems to be his trademark in it, just absolutely flying in. It's an absolute guarantee for a booking most games. That's just the style of player he is, but it was a definite red card. I don't think anybody can really argue that, to be fair. But in terms of the way we're playing football now, it's a joy to watch, and it's such a welcome change for what we've had to sit on Zoom and talk about over the past fucking 9 months about Celtic. So to actually be able to sit here and gush over a performance, it's just, I don't know, it's refreshing. It's really refreshing.
It's mad being back on Zoom, isn't it? Because the last time we were on Zoom, I think it was just the start of the Ange Postecoglou era. I think he was just sort of announced as manager. So we're so used to being on Zoom and having our sort of weekly moan. But this time it's different. We can sit and we can be cheery. We can talk about how good Celtic are. But you're spot on with the red card stuff. I think Turnbull actually does himself a massive favour the way he kind of pulls out of the tackle last second, because I thought he was going to break his ankles the way he was going in. It was just the way he slid in. I was really concerned at first when I first seen Turnbull go down, and then when they showed the highlights, I was like, thank God. But yeah, I think you're right, Kieran. We were in control up until that point. We had already got one on the tally counter. We were up 1-0, and with the way it was going up to that point, I thought we could have scored another 1 or 2 before he was even sent off. So there was really no doubt for me that we were going to win the game. I think a lot of people are now giving it the sort of a 10-man St Mirren sort of thing, and you're cheating about that.
I just wonder when that will stop. But will it stop next weekend after we play Rangers? Because I feel like that's all I'm hearing. Well, you've not played a proper team, as you said on Twitter, Ryan. Fucking AZ was meant to be there. Wait until he's played him, beat them 2-0.
Alkmaar are a better team than Rangers.
Oh, that's bold.
But, I mean, let's be honest here.
That is really bold, Ryan.
I think it's hard to make comparisons like that, to be fair. But I mean, just for watching them in that game midweek, they played really well, to be fair. And I'm sure we'll get into that in a minute anyway.
Aye, so Ryan, you were there at the game. You got to see everything in person. And there was one thing that you wanted to rant and rave about, and you were saying last night, and that was how good it was to see a David Turnbull masterclass in person.
Yeah.
I think we're all in agreement, all three of us, that Turnbull was another class yesterday. He was brilliant. He was hitting all the high notes, and he was just fantastic. But in person, Ryan, how good was it to see sort of the first... I know he scored a brace, but it was sort of the first real masterclass we've seen from Turnbull with a Celtic Park crowd.
Yeah, you can definitely see why Ange just sort of persevered with him. To get him ready for this sort of play, because once he's in full flow, he's an absolute joy to watch. And one thing I will say, if you're watching him on the TV doesn't do him justice, because if you watch him in person, he's utterly mesmerising on the ball. Just his control, his range of passing, his shooting. He's got that sweet spot just outside the box where if he shoots, you just expect it to go in every single time. It felt as if Turnbull really arrived yesterday. Now, I know we've obviously been watching him on the TV last season. He was one of our best players last season, but yesterday felt as if he properly arrived at Celtic for the first time. The guy is going to get some amount of stats this season, whether it be goals, assists, key passes. He is central to absolutely everything we do going forward, and he's an absolute joy to watch. There's me thinking now that we've absolutely robbed Motherwell. I think we've robbed a few teams, to be honest. 3 million. I mean, what would we pay for him now if he was doing that in the Championship down south? What would he honestly be worth if he was playing down south at the moment?
We wouldn't be able to afford him.
No, and do you know, regarding that tackle, which was more an assault by Alan Power. I keep on saying Max Power. I'm thinking about the Championship again. Stephen Craigan was actually coming out and defending Turnbull, saying if he doesn't move his leg, he's getting his leg broken there. So he does well. He does well to sort of get out of the way, and then he takes the challenge as a red card. But that guy just coming back from a long-term injury, basically, or it's been a couple of years, but he's still been trying to kind of get his fitness up to speed. But it's good that he got up and then scored a hat-trick, so I can't really complain.
Yeah, a hat-trick for David Turnbull. It was before the game, I was talking away to people and I was saying a wee Kyogo hat-trick would be good today. Then Abada scores 2. There was a battle for a hat-trick on the park. That's another player I want to talk about. Kieran, I'll come to you here. The chants ringing around the stadium. We've got Abada, we've got Kyogo, you know, etc., etc. We know the chant, but it was great to see Abada back in the team yesterday. And, you know, after missing a couple of games, he's really not lost a step, has he? He's the same way he was before he had that little knock. And it's not like I was expecting a 19-year-old to disappear for 2 weeks and forget how to play football. But there was really no getting back to speed for him. He was, from kick-off, he looked like the best player in the park. And Ryan, I'll let you come on to rant and rave about him because I know you've got a bit of affection for him at the moment. But right now, Kieran, that front three, Abada, for me, is offering something completely different that we've not seen in a few years now. I know Forrest is great, and I love James Forrest, but I think Abada offers something a little bit different, and I'm loving it at the moment. The way he took his first goal yesterday, the way he cuts in, shoots, brilliant. The way he's taking on his men, everything about Abada right now is something that Celtic have direly needed for the last few years, I think. And right now, I'm just loving watching the guy.
I know, I think we've got ourselves in a situation where we've got players stepping up that we maybe didn't expect to step up straight away. When you seen Abada getting signed, there's a few raised eyebrows whether he was going to be somebody that can come into the team and actually make the impact we were hoping for. But I mean, he's came in, he's hit the ground running. I mean, obviously he was out for a couple of games there with the wee niggle, but I mean, he's came back. That was one of the best performances I've seen for any player this season. Just the way he was playing was magnificent. As you said, cutting in, that's you want to see that through the wingers at Celtic, being able to take it to the line, get a ball in, and also cut in. I mean, it's the best of both worlds. But in terms of, like, you've got a bit of a selection headache now, which is a good thing to have at Celtic, because for the past year, it's been pretty dire, even trying to put it in 11. So now when we've got genuine competition for places, there's been a lot of debate on Twitter about what the starting 11 will be for the Old Firm next Sunday. And I didn't think we'd find ourselves in a position like that this soon, to be fair.
But it's a great headache, isn't it? That's what I was going to come to next. Like, there's so many combinations that we've seen already and we're probably yet to see from a potential front three. And the fact that we're getting that when last season, we seemed so limited for options last season. You know, we had Edouard and we were relying on him. Forrest was injured. Ayeti just wasn't reliable. Griffiths was Griffiths. You know, Mikey Johnson was injured. We were so sort of reliant on performances from Odsonne Edouard last season, but now there's a genuine selection headache every week as to who you want to play up front, who you want to play in the left. But it's a good headache because every week they seem to be turning up anyway.
I mean, that's exactly it. But because when you can actually trust in, as we were saying last season, it's a nightmare. It's something that you don't really want to relive, to be fair. But when you think back, it's night and day in terms of being able to actually trust the players to go out and put in a performance. I mean, it's just, I remember sitting here yesterday watching it on the Path to Paradise. I was getting flashbacks to the game back in January when we played St Mirren and they beat us, obviously, and Shane Duffy had his
talking about Shane Duffy, by the way. What
is that coming up to?
What's that up to? I'm convinced he's a Rangers fan. I'm convinced he's at it. I
don't know if the pressure got to him last season or what, but I just don't know how he's playing all right for Brighton.
I'll let you come back to your point in a moment. I want to bring this up before I forget. I seen a point on Twitter yesterday and I just don't agree with it whatsoever. I love Ange Postecoglou. I adore Ange Postecoglou. But I seen a tweet saying it's safe to say that if Ange Postecoglou was like manager of Shane Duffy, it would have been a completely different story. I don't agree with it whatsoever. I really don't. I don't think there was anything that would have saved Duffy last season. But we'll move on from that. I don't want to talk about Duffy.
It's not a miracle worker, fuck's sake.
I know. Well, it might be coming into the season. Who knows? But what were you saying, Kieran? I don't know if you remember what you were saying because we went a bit of a tangent, but you were going on to a wee point there.
No, my head is very foggy, Ryan. You interrupting is fucked up.
It was about the St Mirren game in January.
All right, I know. See, just sitting, it's night and day. Like, I remember sitting here at this very computer desk watching that game, watching us get beat. And you went into games like that with no confidence whatsoever, but you're going into games like yesterday and you're expecting not even just like to win, but to a really good performance, and to actually have that sort of, I don't know, that sort of belief in a Celtic team again. I know it's early doors and there's a lot of bigger games now to come, but it's the early signs are promising, and it's something that's been able to unite everybody behind the manager. Everybody's bought into it now. That it wasn't too certain. It's certainly been swept up in all the Ange Postecoglou propaganda the past couple of weeks. But nah, it's just enjoyable to be watching Celtic again.
I hate that sort of, and I'll come to you in a minute, Ryan, because I know you're probably choking to come out with something here, but I'm hating all this the narratives are being created in my comments section especially, and it's obviously mostly from Rangers fans, and they've given it the whole, we've spoken about this, you're beating nobodies, it's 2 games in, this, that, and the night, or 3 games in, this, that, and the next thing. I hate that narrative, because was it not the exact same last year when Rangers started their season pretty well, and after 3 games, it's football. It's going to happen in football. It is natural to have these sort of excited feelings. If we weren't to get excited about how our team is playing, well, what's the fucking point? We've went through a year of being absolutely dismal, to say the least. And if you didn't get excited after back-to-back 6-0 wins and a European win against Alkmaar and a cup win against Hearts, what's the point? There's no point in watching the sport if you're not going to get excited about it. So I really don't get that narrative, because if the shoe was on the other foot, it'd be the exact same. That's the whole point in the sport.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the whole point in it. It was that, Rangers beat Real Madrid a few weeks ago, and there was people walking about the stadium giving it, this is it, this is the big time. And it was a pre-season friendly. But I didn't come on YouTube anyway. And
who did they get in the group stages of the Champions League? Because they said they were going to get there.
I believe that they got...
Oh, wait, sorry, I'm talking about Malmo. I'm sorry.
Malmo, did you just say?
Malmo. I put my 2 favourite teams together there. AZ Alkmaar and Malmo.
This is really becoming a one sour podcast, isn't it? I love it. But Ryan, about everything else, Ange Postecoglou. Let me just read out a stat, because we don't want to sit all day talking about St Mirren yesterday. After all, there's bigger fish to fry this week. But I just want to read out a stat. In the last 3 games, Celtic have managed 104 shots on goal. 31 against Dundee, 36 against Hearts, and 37 against St Mirren. And I will say right now, for the people who may be watching that haven't watched the games, this isn't last season Ryan Christie shots from 40 yards that were going out for throw-ins, or going well beyond the mark, or going out of the stands. These are well-worked, decent chances that Celtic are creating 10 to 15 really good chances a game at the moment. The stats are unbelievable. There was a clip from the pre-season that emerged of Ange Postecoglou, and we spoke about it on this podcast. We used the soundbite where he said, we don't stop, we never stop. If the opposition want to stop, that's good for us. And there was a bit of a mixed reaction, the mix being Celtic fans loving it, and the other half being other fans who were laughing at it. But I think right now we are seeing exactly why we were loving it, and exactly what Ange Postecoglou meant, Ryan.
Yeah, I think it's fear from the other side, to be perfectly honest, because they know we've got our shit back in order, or our house back in order, whatever sort of analogy you want to use there. The stats that we're coming out with just now with shots is incredible. It's we're scoring goals from range as well. It's not as we're hardly even taking our chances when we're scoring 6 goals. I mean, look at Kyogo's chance yesterday. Skied it. Should be scoring that. There's tons of chances yesterday. If it wasn't for Anik, and I've said this before for Jack Anik, I know he had a terrible first half. If he wasn't playing well in the set, if he didn't play as well as he did in the second half, it would have been 10 or 11 yesterday, because he had a couple of absolutely brilliant saves, and we were just absolutely relentless. He got his act together in the second half, because he kind of threw a couple of goals in the first half. Usually I'm sort of saying that about goalkeepers against Rangers, but it's nice that the shoe's on the other foot. But yesterday I thought we were all right. We didn't even need to get out of second gear. It was just utter domination without really doing anything too special, which is absolutely brilliant. It's good that we didn't need to sort of we didn't need to put too much energy into getting a resounding win, which is great, because we've got some big fixtures coming up ahead. I'm buzzing. I'm absolutely buzzing just now. It's great to be on a Zoom podcast and be buzzing about Celtic. I don't think I've felt like this before on a Zoom podcast.
Don't think we have. Because even when we were at the start of the season and Ange came in, I'm saving it for the end of the season. We've spoken about the idea that we've got, Ryan, obviously, about reacting to a certain video. But even when we were first talking on Zoom about Ange coming in, we were still very, let's just say, I don't want to say pessimistic, but we were still very anxious around the scenario of what the unknown was going to be. But here's one last thing I kind of want to talk about. I'll open up with 4 if there's any points you want to bring up about yesterday, but one last thing that I want to bring up, and Kieran, I'll aim this to you because you were watching from home. Alan Stubbs made at least one good point yesterday, amongst several shite points, but he made one good point right at the end of the game, and that was about fear factor being back at Paradise. Last year, we lost to St Mirren at Celtic Park, we lost to St Johnstone at Celtic Park, we lost to Ross County at Celtic Park, we drew with other teams at Celtic Park. You know, these are results that should never be happening at Celtic Park. And yes, a large majority of it could be down to the return of fans. Maybe that is just it at the end of the day. But at the same time, the competence of a manager, the competence and the confidence of a football team is back. And Celtic Park is once more becoming a place that after these last 3 results in domestic football, teams will be looking at and going, we don't want to go to Celtic Park anymore.
It's the fact last year it was genuinely, it was embarrassing for everybody because you knew these teams were coming to Celtic Park with confidence that we can do these cunts today. Because we were just so fragile in every way. Like, we never had any game plan. There was no real tempo to our play. These teams knew they could come and get a goal for a set piece. And even then, it didn't always need to be a set piece. It could have just been piss poor defending. But they knew they could come to Celtic Park and get a result. And it's just about trying to get rid of that and try to, like, as we get more results under our belt, the confidence will be back and teams will start to see that. And hopefully it can hopefully be an end to the whole Celtic Park being a place that these wee teams can come and win it, because it should never be the case. Like Ross County, St Mirren, teams like that getting wins at Celtic Park. Aye, they happen every so often, but for the frequency that they were happening last year, it's not acceptable. And I think that's hopefully something that could be stamped out this year pretty authoritatively. Because I mean, the way we're playing, teams shouldn't be coming and getting expecting a result off us. Knowing any, I can't picture any team coming to Celtic Park and thinking, aye, we've got them easy.
It's, the way I put it yesterday was a loss to Ross County, a loss to St Mirren should be a freak accident every sort of 10 years. You know, we shouldn't be doing it. We were not used to it. But aye, let's kind of wrap it up. Anything that you want to throw out about last night's game, or yesterday's game, I should say. Ryan, I'll start with you. Anything you'd like to mention?
I'd just like to give a shout out to Abada. 19 years old, the way he's came into this team, a new country, new culture. It's like a duck to water, honestly. Incredible. The
like
guy,
ducks.
Yeah. I don't know what to compare him to.
I like ducks. I like that. Keep that comparison.
The ducks. He certainly doesn't duck out of anything. He didn't duck out that header yesterday, which was great. No, he's just positive. Every touch that he makes is just positive. He's going forward. You've seen it with the first goal. The fullback, if you watch him, it's like he was doing a Shane Duffy impression of last season, because he just goes back and then left and right. It's like something out of Tom and Jerry. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to keep up with him. And then his second goal is just a great header. The guy's started so well, and I just want to shout out his wee things he's doing on Instagram as well. It just makes me so happy commenting on everybody's Instagram. It shows that it's a really good togetherness in the squad.
Yep.
That they're all taking the time to message each other on Instagram. I know it's something very minute, but it's great to see. I like seeing that togetherness with the team. It shows that they're all together, and that only bodes well for the future.
Kieran, anything you'd like to throw out about yesterday's game? Or do you feel like we've covered it all? There was a point. There's something I want to give to you. All right, on you go. Say what you're going to say.
No, I was just going to make a wee thingy about. Did you hear Jeremy Carrick's comment about Jim Goodwin having a season ticket at Celtic Park, man?
Yeah,
old for Daft Jerry, man.
I know, Christ, he wasn't holding back. Well, do you know what? We know that Martindale's an open and proud Rangers supporter, so maybe we're allowed to have an open and proud Celtic supporter.
Is that official? Aye.
I know he's a Celtic supporter, I think. So.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Martindale. Is that official that he's a Rangers fan?
Yeah. He was on the podcast a few weeks ago before the. Do you know that there was a bit of a? It was on a podcast. I remember David was saying, like, if your club's manager was on like a podcast of the club they're playing the next day, giving it how big a fan he is, you'd be fucking raging. You know what I mean? So aye. But anyway, enough about that. Before we move on to the next big topic I want to talk about, and it's huge because I've not even covered it on my channel yet, really, I want to bring up, and I hate doing this, I want to get over it, I want to let it go, and I want to just pass it forever. But it appears
it wouldn't be a Zoom call.
It appears on the other end that can't happen. I just feel like grabbing him and shouting, "Get off me!" I just feel like getting rid of him forever, but I can't. Neil Lennon was on BBC yesterday on the breakfast show, giving it big licks. You know what really annoys me? Just if he just faded out, I think over time I would have came to the kind of point where I'm like, do you know what, Neil Lennon, he's done his bit for Celtic. He's a legend, blah, blah, blah. Maybe. Kieran's squinting his eyes. That's a big maybe. But he's out yesterday giving it the big game about Edouard and all the rest of it as soon as we're playing well. And Edouard goes out and scores yesterday, and thank fuck. I'm fed up hearing it. Kieran, I know that you've surely got something to say about it. Like,
I don't want to speak about the man. He's a fucking asshole. And honestly, anybody that's still to this day, I've seen people I've seen a tweet with like over 1,000 likes saying about him still being a legend. I was like, see, everybody that's like that, just get yourself to fuck. Honestly, like, what actually? Why are people still trying to defend him? It's the same thing with Celtic fans. But if somebody's been like away long enough, that's what you're saying. But if they're away long enough and they sort of stay out the limelight, then fair enough, you might be able to try and forgive them. But see when he's fucking on every radio show trying to still pass away on to everybody but himself. Like, honestly, just get to fuck, man. See, as you said, if he just stayed quiet, but he's just... I just don't know how people can still try and defend him and say he's a Celtic legend. But I'd love to hear, like, I'd love to get some Lennon defender on here and just listen. We'll
get great Pantheon on. But it's just the fact, it's constant belittling of the club and its players. And I just don't see how I'm expected, or any of us are expected. Like, there will be people, Kieran, we can acknowledge it right now. There will be people in the comments section replying to what you've just said, saying that's a shocking sort of fucking outlook to have on it. He's a legend. He's a legend. That's the next thing, right? But why should we think that when he's out constantly on the radio, just tearing in? Like, I don't even know, Ryan. I don't know.
Get a rest, man.
What are you going, Ryan?
He's just tarnished his legacy completely. He tarnished it last season, but he's not. I don't know what his PR team are telling him to do. Constantly belittle the one reason why you still had a job last season. The sort of club that took you back when you were unemployed. Let's be honest. And to come out and attack Edouard, a player that was so instrumental in getting him the permanent job.
Yep.
It makes me sick, actually. See, him airing out his dirty laundry, and you've got guys like Tom English as well, who are constantly bringing Neil Lennon back on because they know that they'll get a reaction from Celtic fans. It's disgraceful. No one really cares anymore. No one cares about Neil Lennon. It's all about Ange Postecoglou. And thank God, because we actually look like we're going in a good place now, unlike when we had him in charge last season. We look as if we've got everything back in order. The professionalism, you're seeing players that weren't playing last season playing well all of a sudden. And there's too many players that weren't playing last season that are playing well this season for it to be anything other than the manager. It was the manager's fault. It was all the manager's fault. He was the... And he's coming out and saying, it's because the fans are back. No, it's because we've got a competent manager at the helm that knows how to play football and knows how to get the best out of players, like Tom Rogic, Ryan Christie, David Turnbull, etc. Tony Ralston, exactly. I feel bad for Tony Ralston. Why did he not get a chance last season when we had utter dross like John Joe Kenny playing? It doesn't make
Celtic career
sense.
would be finished if Lennon played him last year. He'd have been woeful in Lennon's in a Lennon team, man.
It would have been, yeah.
Let's move on.
You could go on all day about him. I'm not going to bother because he's not worth it.
We'll move on to talking about right backs, and we'll move on to the next segment of the show as we have 7 minutes till this first part of the Zoom call ends. I forgot how handy these things are. Josip Uranovich has signed for Celtic after weeks of speculation that it would be done. How adorable was it watching Artur Boric hug the guy? Oh my God. I just hope that he's passed on the champions flag, and even though we're no champions, I hope he's passed on that flag. I hope he's handed over the God Bless the Pope shirt and reset a rosary beads. And I just hope he's set him right up for his journey. I'm buzzing. I'm absolutely buzzing. And Ryan, I know this is one you've been buzzing about. This looks like an absolute steal. £2.5 million on a 5-year deal. I feel like, of course, with every transfer, there's a risk of it going right or wrong. that's natural in football, but for £2.5 million and an established Croatian international playing at a very good level with Legia Warsaw, he was only there one season. It was brilliant. And now he's coming to Celtic, and I feel like he could bring us so much, Ryan.
Yeah, I think it was a release clause. That's the reason why we got him for so cheap, because I think Legia Warsaw got him from, I think it was Split was his club before that. He was in the last year of his contract and they got him for €400,000. So there was a release clause inserted on that. But either way, it's an absolute robbery from Celtic. We should get multiple counts of robbery for some of the deals we've done this season. Absolutely brilliant. A right back, a Croatian international. You're not a mug if you play for Croatia, let's be honest. He's going to come into this team and totally, I don't want to say revolutionise, because that's putting a lot of pressure on him early doors, but I can't see this guy flopping, I'll be honest. If you watch his clips, he just looks absolutely. He looks like Ralston on steroids a wee bit. He's even quicker than Ralston. He can do the things that Ralston does well, better, which is going to be brilliant. I mean, and that's no slight on Ralston, because Ralston's been arguably one of our best players this season. In fact, he has been. But we needed someone that's going to take that right back position for the next 3, 4, 5 years. And it looks like we've got a man in Uranovich. I couldn't be happier. Everyone, it was a universal sort of happiness when that tweet came out. Everybody knows that this is going to be a good acquisition for Celtic. I am really buzzing to see him at Celtic.
Kieran, you happy we finally got the right back business done to get a player in to sort of improve that back line?
Yeah, obviously I'm happy it's in. I mean, I was very much of the impression that we would need 2 right backs, but Ralston's, as I said at the start, proved me wrong. Well, make me eat my words. And as the season went on, he's making me do it. If he can keep that up, then fair enough. If he can't get shifted at the position, then brilliant. I want to see academy players especially coming up through the ranks and playing well. But up until this season, everything just wasn't working out for him. Anytime he played for Celtic before this season, it just didn't look like it was going to work out. And I know none of us are alone in that opinion. It was pretty much universal. And then everybody's happy to get proved wrong. You've got a lot of people like, only a few weeks ago, he's slating him. I'm like, aye. But now he's stepped up. This is what you need to do if you're playing for Celtic. You need to step up and put in the performances. But I mean, I'm happy enough for him and Uranovich to be the 2 right backs. But I'm still under the impression we need a left back and at least 1 centre half. I'd go as far as 2.
2.
I'm not saying we're going to get permanent acquisitions. I'm just meaning like we need, even if it's somebody on loan and somebody permanently. I'm happy with the way Welsh is playing. Starfelt's still settling in, but I don't know. I still think we're a bit thin at the back because all it takes a couple of injuries, but we're fucked. We've got Beaton playing at centre half again.
Yep, exactly. The thing is about Ralston now, I said a point, and I think we may have actually brought this up on the last show, I'm not sure. And this is a point I'll open up to the two of you. I said a point about if, we brought in someone and they were playing the way Ralston has been recently, we've been ranting and raving. What is the situation like just now, Ryan? What do you think that Juranovic does come in and take that spot automatically, or does Ralston deserve to stay there just now? I am under the impression, I must admit, that Ralston will start for the derby next week. I think he will.
Yeah,
but in terms of how we now gel Uranovich into the team, is it a matter of waiting until the honeymoon phase is done with Ralston, or are we using the money we've spent to put him right in that starting 11? Now, Kieran, I'll let you go.
I don't know. It's just because, and that's the thing, as much as we're all loving Ralston, I know he's developed as a player, but I've still got it in my head. I can't shake the performances I've seen in the past against. He was struggling in the past at Celtic Park against players like O'Halloran. Aimed to be a turn of pace. He just didn't look like he could keep up. Kent's not been playing well for Rangers like that. Well, he's not been playing that well for Rangers at all this season. But I mean, he loves a game against us. I think that's pretty evident. He always seems to step up against Celtic, and his pace has hurt a lot of our right backs in the past few years. People couldn't handle it. If Ralston's up for that, if Ange's confident he's the man to stop Kent on that side, then fair enough. But I don't know. Obviously, we've not seen Uranovich either, but I think he's going to get thrown in. I think it'll be after the break.
After the break.
Uranovich.
Yeah, me too.
I think there's now an affection building, Ryan, for Tony Ralston that's a lot of people are going to find hard to shake, even with the money being spent. But at the end of the day, this is a signing that I think enhances our chances of both winning the league title, but also going further in Europe. As we've already said, this is a guy who's an international for Croatia, who are the runners-up in the World Cup. He's played at a very good level for Legia Warsaw. This is a guy that ultimately the job that we've signed him for is to be the starting right back.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think a 26-year-old Croatian international is going to be coming to Celtic to sit on the bench. I think it'll be only be a matter of time until he becomes the first choice right back. He might need to bide his time for a wee bit while Ralston sort of continues to do well. But I think
there's
Ralston...
one thing we need to make perfectly clear, I'm sorry to cut you off, Ryan, is I don't think by any means we're not saying, oh, that's Ralston finished. I don't think that's what anybody will be trying to say. I think Ralston's still going to have a big part to play, and he certainly offers something there for Celtic.
Yeah, and I'll be the first one to say that I think he deserves a renewed contract as well for longer than a year. I think we need to get that sorted as soon as possible. Not that I don't know if anyone would be coming in for him, but I just want him to feel sort of valued because his performances merit a higher contract. He certainly deserves the contract over Lee Griffiths. He's put more in from when he got the contract to now than what Lee Griffiths has. So I think he definitely deserves a sort of renewed contract, 2 or 3 years, because he's dependable. He shows he can do it, and he shows that under the right system he can absolutely flourish at Celtic.
So Uranovich, brilliant signing, very happy with that. I'm sure he will add a lot of quality to the squad. Very briefly, and we've got a lot of questions on it, so we might save it for then, but it's not the end of the transfer window. We have another, I think, 8 or 9 days left. Celtic must go out, I think, and get another couple of signings, Ryan. I think there's at least a couple more bits of business to be done. Kieran, you've already said you would like 1 or 2 centre-halves. I
mean, I think that we're meant to be getting that Scales. I don't know what sort of... I don't know, obviously we don't really watch the League of Ireland, so we can't really comment on him, to be fair, but a lot of people seem to think he's destined for a lot higher than where he's currently playing. So I don't know, hopefully, because we've dismissed praise for other players and managers in the past, for even Ange Postecoglou, because of where he came from. So I don't know, maybe it's not to discriminate, but at the same time, it's whether or not it's Celtic standard or not, because we've seen plenty of players come in and not get anywhere near the first team, but I don't know, we need to wait and see.
And Ryan, I would like a left back.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think Scales sort of covers both. He plays as a sort of left wing back as well. He's quite mobile for being, is it 6'3"? He's quite tall. He could sort of fill that sort of gap, the sort of centre half, because he can play as a left centre half. We don't really have many of them. A left footer, which would be great. And a left back as well. Obviously, we've got Julian coming back, so you don't really want to. You don't want to sort of jeopardise his chances in coming back into the team, because I think when he comes back, he'll get into the first team. He'll come straight in, probably with Starfelt, if not Welsh. I mean, Welsh has been absolutely brilliant recently, but I'd love to see a partnership with Starfelt and Julian. That sounds absolutely brilliant to me.
Can't wait for Julian to come back, man. Cannot wait.
Yeah.
And see back October, but he's still
I think
good
so.
back after.
So that's why Scales would be probably a good signing, because you can bed him in, get a couple of games. If he can play both positions, then he can cover them. A game against Raith Rovers would be an absolutely perfect game for him to start and get sort of acclimatised to Celtic. Same for players like McCarthy and stuff. But I still want the Christie situation clarified before we go on, because I don't want to be losing him in January. I'd much rather lose him now and get his replacement in, rather than losing in January and then we're sort of worrying about getting somebody in. I know Kyogo can play there, but Christie's a different animal playing out in the left, I think. You've seen it against, I think it was Dundee he played there. He was absolutely phenomenal. You know me, you know I love Lovric. I just that deal is crying out. He's liking so many stuff on Instagram regarding Celtic. The guy's a goal and an assist a game. I keep on sort of talking him up, but the guy is probably one of the easiest transfers that you could make, and he would come in and improve the team. A proper left winger to go with a proper right winger and Abada would be perfect with Kyogo up front. I just think that would be absolutely ideal.
Well,
another striker as well, actually.
I'd like the striker situation clarified as well, because it's kind of in the lurch, you know. Like, you don't know with Edward. Like, it's looking increasingly likely that he's going to stay. But I mean, I don't know, because I'm in two minds about it, because if he stays and he was to help us go on and have a brilliant season, and he could then repay better than what any transfer value could be. But I don't know, because it's whether or not. I mean, he's really stepped up the past couple of games. He was in for quite a bit of criticism at the start, because it just looked sluggish and he wasn't pulling his weight in the games. But the past 3 games, he's been quite good. So I don't know. You're in a sticky situation, mate.
And
right.
Sorry. And for the 6th goal yesterday, Albion Ayeti done so well. For the 20 minutes he was on, he was absolutely brilliant. He looked so much fitter. he looked more mobile than he was at any point last season, and he showed that he's still got a wee bit of fight in him, and he wants to sort of stay and keep it, or try and get a place in the team, which is great. We'll see how that goes. It might just be one of those sort of one game cameos, and then he goes back to normal or back to the way we know him. But it was a really good cameo, so props to him for that.
Right, okay, we'll move on to the last couple of bits of the show before we get on to the big If You Know Your History quiz. Yes, we'll be the return of the If You Know Your History quiz today after missing out in the last one, Ryan, when it was just us two. So it'll be nice to have that back on today's show. As Ed, on Thursday night, we've done the difficult part. We've done the easy part. This is the difficult part that's now to come. We've beat them at Celtic Park. We've left ourselves in a good position. I'm going to say, and I'm not jinxing anything. I'm not going to say we're through. I'm absolutely not saying that because it's going to be tricky on Thursday night. I really do believe that. But in my eyes, we're a goal-scoring machine right now. And if we go to Azed and score 2 goals, which I believe we can, that should be it. Because there's no way in my eyes I see us conceding 4. I don't think we're that bad. So I think if we go there on Thursday night, take the attacking style that we've been given in the last few games, it should be job done for Celtic, I think.
I mean, if we go out and play the way we've been playing, I don't see us getting beat. But I mean, realistically, they had a couple of good chances that they probably should have put away. A couple of good saves for Joe Hart. But I mean, that's what we've brought him in for, to stop these goal-scoring opportunities. And
exactly.
Ralston's last-ditch clearance and that as well. I mean, if everybody's playing to the top of their game, we should be going through. But I mean, they will have chances. I wouldn't be surprised if we conceded, because it's earlier especially. But I mean, I'd be a lot more confident if we just got that 3rd goal on Wednesday. Like, it was crying out for it. I thought, everybody thought we were going to get it at the end when it was Edward and then the Montgomery chance and that. But no, I thought I think that would have really made me a lot more confident. As you know, I'm quite the pessimist. I don't like to get too ahead of myself. Some people may say the only grounded one left on this podcast, but
I think I've been doing a decent enough job. I think I'm like mid-ground just now.
I've lost it completely.
You've took over.
I am on the Ange sort of.
You're on the fucking. You're on the bullet train. You're on the bullet train. You're fucking.
I'm on the Ange drugs. Honestly, I'm obsessed.
You're obsessed. That's I'm never going to see somebody about that, right? Right. The point I wanted to bring up to you was, as Ed didn't play at the weekend. They didn't have a game. They've had a full week's rest. As far as I'm aware, by looking at their match schedule, they had a full week's rest, which does give them a slight advantage in terms of preparation, because we also need to add travelling into it. I mean, a wee trip to Holland, nothing wrong with that. But I mean, the main thing is we won 6-0 at the weekend. We won 6-0. Surely that gets
you knew what you were doing with that.
A wee bit scared. They get a wee bit scared, don't they?
Yeah, you've totally caught me off guard with that. That was hilarious. I actually don't know what I'm saying.
I say, I'm just saying, there's nothing wrong with, them being feared of us now. We've won 6-0.
But I don't know if that even helps them having a weekend off, because it's not as if they had much games anyway. I thought they would have been better prepared if they played a game at the weekend. And I mean, it won't make that much of a difference, because from Saturday to Thursday, that's 5 days. Yes. Yeah. I had to count that there. I counted it yesterday. I don't know why I'm doubting myself. But we'll be in good nick. I think it'll be quite an even game. If we go out and score, then I think it should be tie over, or it should be. You never know with our defence. But at the same time, I agree with Kieran that it would have been great if we got the 3rd goal, but I wouldn't want them to get lackadaisical if they get a 3rd goal and then they were going over to Holland thinking that the tie was over. I kind of like that the tie's still there, and you can kind of still see the tie. You can see AZ's sort of chances, so they know they've got a job to do when they go out on the park. I think we just need to go and play our own game. Attack is the best form of defence for this team. Go out, get the early goal, and then we'll just try and control the game from there. We're better off attacking, because defensively we still look a wee bit shaky, although we didn't really deal with much yesterday. But I'm confident going into the game, but that's just due to the way we've been playing recently.
There was a point I wanted to make in terms of, I would like to not lose this game. Look, if we lose and we go through, fair enough, that's job done. I want to be sitting here on what days the draw is. Is it Friday for the Europa League and Champions League draw? Or is it Thursday for the Champions League and then Friday for the Europa League?
No, it's usually the same day, isn't it?
I can't remember. But whatever way about it is, I want to be sitting with whoever wants to join me in a live stream. I want to be able to sit there and be watching this in a Europa League draw, not a Conference League draw, a Europa League draw. But I don't want to lose this game because what's the following game? I want the momentum to be high. I don't want us to be coming off the back of a defeat. And it won't feel like much of a defeat if we go through, but I think that, mentality is a big part of the game that's coming up.
It could take the wind out ourselves a decent bit, I think, because if you're on such a good winning streak, you want to keep that going, especially going into a derby game. I know the form sort of goes out the window against when Celtic and Rangers play, but I mean, it's got to help you. It's not going to be a good thing if you end up getting beat. As you said, even if we go through, I still think it will feel like a defeat to the players, especially because of the good form they've been on.
Mm-hmm. Right, okay, we'll move on to the final couple of segments of the show. I would ask for your predictions, but Kieran, I know you don't like predicting stuff, and Ryan will probably end up going live or something during the week to talk about it.
Yeah.
So we'll save it for then. Plus, you've got all your Twitter spaces and all the rest of it to do, so I'm sure that you're going to be very, very busy over the next week. Right, on to the Twitter questions. Thank you to everybody, as always, who's been involved. If you get your question here, if you don't get your question, thank you anyway. And if you do want to get involved, make sure to head over to our Twitter. I think we're now on how many followers? We're on 2,300. So let's get to 3,000 as quickly as possible on the podcast account. But yeah, we've got quite a lot of questions, so let's try and fire through them. First question, James asks, thoughts on Blake Young or Blake's Young? You don't know who it is, do you?
Is that the guy in the Celtic top?
Well, he's now.
Oh Christ! I know Blake.
Yes. Any thoughts at all? See, he's back to being a Rangers fan. So he went from Rangers to Celtic, and he's back to Rangers now.
Best of luck to the guy.
Keep it in your pants.
I'm certainly a lot more confident after seeing that.
Right. There's a lot of questions about strongest squad and such, but I'll narrow it down. A question from Jack Kelly. Well, let's go through all of our favourite threes so far. What is your favourite and preferred front three as of this moment for Celtic? If you could pick your three, I'm going to go with, at the moment, Abada on the right, Kyogo in the middle, Christie on the left. That's my favourite three so far.
I'm the exact same.
I'd probably go with that as well.
You go with that as well. It annoys me because I really want to get Edouard in mine, but I must admit I prefer Kyogo through the middle than I do Kyogo on the left.
I feel like you lose a wee bit of something with Kyogo playing on the left as well, or on the right rather. No,
I feel like most of his games running off the shoulder of the last defender. He's no pure lightning quick. He's not got pure flair about him. He's just that style of player where he'll get into the space. So I think you utilise him best when he's playing up front.
Celtic latest asked, not really a question, but thoughts. Ryan, I should let you do this segment. I've been letting you do that recently. I'm very sorry.
It's fine, mate. It's fine.
It's just because we're back on Zoom. I'm just used to having it on air. Not really a question, but thoughts on the scenario where we keep Edouard until the end of the season. Yes, we don't get the payday, but we get potentially a 20-plus goal striker. And bearing in mind, we get the Champions League money if we top the league. So what's your thoughts to keeping Edouard? Would you rather cash in and get the money now, or do you not mind the prospect of keeping him to the end of the season?
Depends where his mind's at and where his head's at. If he wants to stay and contribute to us getting the title back and getting into the Champions League, and then he'll just go off into the sunset in the summer, then I'm all for that. But if he does want to leave, like what Lennon was saying actually, then we'd be best letting him go, I think, and bringing in somebody new like Nisbet or Giacomakis, I think. It all depends on what he's thinking. But I wouldn't mind him staying. But if it was if I could pick who would get a contract renewal over Christie and Edouard, it'd be Christie at the moment.
Kieran, what about you?
I don't know. I touched on this briefly earlier because it's one of the ones where if it works out, then perfect. But I mean, if it doesn't, then people are going to go, we should have just sold him in the summer. It's the same sort of situation we were in last year with Edouard as well. Do we sell him? No, we want to keep him to try and win the 10. Oh, we didn't win the 10. Why did we not sell him for the money? No, he's not worth as much. So it's a situation that if it goes to plan, then everybody's happy. But any wee hiccup and it's fucked, and everybody's looking back in hindsight going, oh, we shouldn't have done it. But I don't know. It's somebody Edwards' quality. A couple of games ago, if you were to say to me about as well just selling him, but now he's gave you something to think about. Because the past few games he's stepped up and shown that he can go and be what he has been in the past for Celtic and get goals. So I don't know. But then again with Edward, are you, as we touched on a second ago, are you sacrificing putting Kyogo out on the left when he plays better through the middle? Who would get you more goals? It's a gamble. That's the whole point. Everything's a gamble. Like when you're trying to reshape a team like this. So I don't know. It's a big decision for Ange to make, or the powers that be, if we're going to sell him or no. But I don't know if there's too much actual interest, is there?
No.
Apparently Palace are now into. I think he'll stay.
I think the papers are just throwing any lower English Premier League club's name towards him and just saying, he's gone there for 18 million quid. But I think it's going to happen.
I think he'll stay.
See, the thing is, I'd much rather we bring in somebody of that's more of a presence in the middle. And Edward and Kyogo, they rely more on their flair and their sort of a mental game. I just want a brute in the middle as well, so that we can sort of complement
like a Jan Vennegoor of Sellik.
Would be absolutely perfect. Imagine.
Think about retirement.
I
think from
you know what I mean.
Sorry, when you go down. Oh, is that you?
It's that delay on Zoom.
So awkward being back in Zoom, innit? But the point I was going to make from a personal point of view, I would like Edouard to stay just because I love him so much. I adore the guy. I adore the adored one. But I think from the club's perspective, we should look to sell him if we can and we get the right money. I do understand the whole sort of, if we win the league, we get £40 million, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, but we can still win the league by selling them and we can make that, £50 million, £60 million. So, that's the way I'm looking at it. But I'd like him to stay personally, but that's just selfish from me. Thank you. That'll do. We've got James in again. He's causing havoc. I just want to ask this one because just simple answer for you here, right? Who wins in a scrap between Neil Lennon and Brendan Rodgers?
I feel like Neil Lennon would fight really dirty, to be fair. But
Brendan Rodgers would hit you out of nowhere when you least expect it. So I would go with him.
The low blow.
Yeah,
he'd do a slide kick when Lennon's rolling about in the ground.
Aye, right into him. I just like the thought of Neil Lennon with a hat hanging off his head, half cut there. Get off me. Right, we've got Mark asking, I'd lose any monetary value on Christie and keep him until January for the good of the team. And for the same reasons, I'd find Edouard a club ASAP and take a cut price deal. We need to be realistic on his value now, and what he gives to the team is not worth keeping. Do you agree? We've kind of touched on that. So, but Christie, the Christie part of that, Ryan, you want to, would you keep him around till January to lose him in a free, or would you try and get rid of him now? I think you've already sort of.
I mean, only if you've got somebody that's ready to come in on January the 1st that will sort of take his place. I don't know about the winter break, but I suppose you might have a wee bit more leeway to sort of find a player or get a deal done for an existing player that you're interested in. But I'd much rather it's clarified just now. Like, I'd love to hear like a Christie extension to even until the end of the season, or maybe like a 2-year deal, but we sell him next summer, like guaranteed. I just want that clarified, really. Personally,
I think Christie's going to commit his future long term to Celtic, no matter how well he's playing, how well he likes it. I mean, I just think if he's enjoying his football, fair enough. But I mean, I still think he's got ambitions to play in England. Whether if that's at an actual good level or no, if it's going to be for like a Burnley or a team like that, I think I would suit him. To be fair, I think he'd better off staying here and maybe try to. He could get a better move, but I don't know. I think he's got it pretty set in his head that he will be off. I'd be very surprised if he signed a new long-term deal.
Right. I'm going to go through the rest of them quick fire and give you one each, right? So you get a question each. Kieran, I'll start with you. I thought Albie Yeti played well when he came on yesterday. So my question is, does he have a future at the club or should we look elsewhere? That was Tom Stakoglu who asked that.
I'd like to see him have a long-term future at the club, but do I see him going out and being the 20-goal a season striker that we need? No. I just don't personally see it. I think he'll be a different kind of striker, but I don't think he's going to be the one to go out and be your talisman and get all the goals.
Ryan, because it's talking about winning the league, this is perfectly suited for you because you get in over your head anyway. Billy is asking, how realistic do you think it is for us to win the league this season? And do you think we could walk away with a very comfortable 3 points next Sunday? We'll leave the Sunday chat for the preview show. First part of the question, Are we allowed to dream yet? Are we? Because I must admit, I'm starting to dream.
Yes, we're in a much better position than we were 3 weeks ago. When you think about the Hearts game, we're improving every week. We're the informed team in the league just now. If we can keep that up over the course of a season, then we'll be in with a very good chance. If we can get some consistency into our game, that we can continue to do the things that we're doing every week, then we'll be in a pretty good place come the end of the season. Obviously, the games against Rangers are very, very important. But I'm going into those games feeling a bit more optimistic than I was last season. So, yeah, it's definitely renewed optimism now.
Right, Kieran, back to you. We'll go through 3 or 4 more questions. Do you think that Welsh is capable of being your first choice centre-back along with Starfelt or eventually Julian? Do you think that Julian and Starfelt will be your pairing once the big man is back? That was the question that was asked by the Union equals dead.
I think it will be a case that we spoke about earlier. It will be Julian Starfelt when the both of them are back fit. But I mean, in the meantime, I've not got a problem with Welsh playing because, as it stands, he's probably the best centre half we've got now, and it's something that I didn't have any confidence would be a starter for Celtic this season. I thought it would have been, if we were starting, it would been down to the fact of poor recruitment, which it still kind of is, because we've not went out and got the players that we should have brought in the summer for the centre half position. I mean, we've got Starfelt, but out of the two, I'd say Welsh looks a bit more composed than Starfelt. Starfelt is still settling into his surroundings. He wasn't terrible like yesterday. But it's just, I'd like to, I guess after next Sunday, we'll have a better indication of who's going to be starting and who's going to be playing a lot more this season, because next Sunday's a real test.
Ryan, Kirsten is asking, realistically, between Abada, Kyogo and Edward, how many goals do you think we'll get this season between them?
Edward, probably 40 to 50, I would say. I think there's going to be quite I think we'll score over 100 goals this season. I mean, we're on track to do that probably at December time. The way we're playing, obviously, can't
13 and 3, isn't it? 13 and 3 in the league.
That's incredible.
That's unbelievable.
I mean, the amount of shots that we're getting, we're not even taking all of our chances.
I mean, if you times that by, there's still 10 times, more than 10 times the amount of games to play, and 10 times 13 for talking's sake is 130.
It'd be good to score 100 goals at home. That'd be incredible.
Yeah, let's just calm down now, Ryan.
I know. But I think there's goals all over the team. We've not even really seen McGregor score. He scored 1 against Midtjylland, but and obviously in the pre-season friendlies. But I still think he's got goals to his game. Christie scored goals. Turnbull, Abada, Edward, if he stays, if we bring anyone else in, we'll get chances. Yeah, there's goals all over the team. The front three look deadly every time we play them, so I think there's plenty of goals. I think 50 should be the sort of benchmark. Right,
one more question each. Let's get that done. Shout out to AJ who gave you the shot, by the way. AJ Celtic. He did ask a question, but we've already covered it. It was about Neil Lennon's comments on the BBC. So Kieran, let me see. What one am I going to give you here? Who would you rather have, Kevin Nisbet or Giacomakis?
I don't know, it's a tough one because we've not really seen much of that Juranovic, but he's a different kind of striker, so I'll go with him just because he'll bring something really different to Kevin Nisbet.
Fair enough.
But I think he's got to Werder Bremen. Like, I think I've seen.
Did that not collapse? The Werder Bremen move, was it back on the card?
It collapsed and then it's back on.
Right. Okay. Right. Well, that's a howler, that, isn't it? Right. Okay. So let's go. One last question. What am I going to ask you, Ryan? Let's see. And now, Aaron, your Spaces partner has asked a very interesting question. So, do you know what? I'm just going to ask you anyway. Shag, marry, kill. Greg Taylor, Bolly Bolingoli, and Adam Montgomery. There you go.
That's utterly vulgar, man. It's too early to even talk about this.
I'll give you a different question. Don't worry. Does the signing of Uranovich carry the same weight and quality and hype as Kyogo Furuhashi?
It probably does, because it's a problem area in terms of right back, and it's been well documented that we've needed a right back. So yeah, there was a bit of fanfare when we got him, but Kyogo was exciting because it was the unknown. And we kind of knew about Uranovich for a wee while. Whereas Kyogo was just out of the blue. Like, one day we didn't have him, and then the next day I woke up at 9 o'clock and we had him, which was absolutely mental. I'd say it's 50-50, but it's got as much fanfare in a different way.
Ryan, aye or no?
Sorry. Is it just a yes or no? Yes.
Right, thank you. We've only got like 9 minutes left and I've got a full fucking quiz to go through. So let's get this done. Let's move on to the final segment. Thank you, lads, for answering the questions, and thank you to everybody for sending in your questions. It's time for the final segment of the show. It's the Select the Funders If You Know Your History quiz. Right, Ryan, since you were there on the last show, I'll let you pick. What do you want? Set 1 or set 2?
Set 2.
Set 2, right? That means Kieran Auld, you're first up to the plate. Kieran, would you like to give an apology for your cloudy head as we head into these?
I'd like to apologise on behalf of the COVID running rampant in my body right now. So my head is a wee bit out of the place, but I'll get a good go.
Right, okay, let's go. Question 1, Kieran. Celtic's biggest ever margin of victory was 9-0 on the 6th of November 2010, but who was it against?
Aberdeen.
Aberdeen, correct. Ryan McGinley, to make it 1-1, which confectionery company are Celtic currently partnered with?
Cadbury's.
Cadbury, well done, correct, 1-1. Kieran, new signing Josip Juranovic was in Croatia's Euro 2020 squad, but how many appearances did he make?
1.
It was 2. I was going
to say 2
Well, Ryan, you can take the lead. Celtic signed a player in 1951 who went on to become the first black professional footballer in Scotland. What was his name?
Is it something like Jules Heron?
Yes, I'll give you that. There you go.
That's get that.
2-1. Did you know that, Kieran?
Aye.
Right, question 3 for you. Who was the only goal scorer in Celtic's B team win against civil service strollers on Tuesday night?
I don't know. Moffat?
No, it was Ryan. Do you know?
I think it was Laval, wasn't it?
No, it was Dane Murray.
No? All right.
It was Dane Murray.
Was it? Oh, so it was the draw. Aye.
Or did I say win? I think I said win, sorry, but it's Dane Murray.
Win, but they were winning and into stoppage time. It was like the last kick of the game.
Right, sorry. But anyway, got it wrong nonetheless. Ryan, to go up 3-1. Ex-Celtic youth player Vincent Angelini recently joined which Premier League club?
Oh, Brighton.
Watford's correct.
Watford?
Because we got that Lowell or whatever for
right.
We went the other way.
Oh, right.
Okay,
is that,
Kieran.
Is that the reason why we got him?
I don't know if it's a reason, but they both went at the same sort of time.
Right, Kieran, to make it 2-2, how many African players were in the Celtic squad during Martin O'Neill's last season, 2004/5?
Oh.
I'll just say 3.
Correct, it is 3. The 3. Could you name any of the 3?
No.
Can I give it?
I probably could, but I don't want to make assumptions here.
So I'm thinking.
One should be obvious. Yes, Bobo Balde.
Oh, fuck it.
Momo Salah.
That's correct.
Kamara.
Henry Kamara. That's the 3 that were in the squad. But Kieran, you of course get the point 2-2.
Through my
Ryan,
age there, boys. Sorry.
To take the lead, Ryan. How many total saves has Joe Hart made in his 2 Premiership appearances?
Did he play against Dundee?
Yes, that was his debut.
Yeah. I'm gonna say 4.
Well, according to our quiz master, who I'll give a shout out to at the end, it's apparently 1 save.
Wow.
So there you go.
Wow.
Kieran, to take the lead in question number 5, it's coming to the.
Is this not to draw it? Because I was up 3-1. Oh no! No! I thought I was up 3-1.
Don't get ahead of yourself, son. Hope you're enjoying it at home and playing along. By the way, Kieran, Celtic broke the world record for competitive goals scored in a season, achieving 196 goals. But what season was it?
No. I'm just going to say the 66-67 season.
Correct. That is the correct answer. 1966/67. So, Ryan, you need this to take it to a tiebreaker, mate. Celtic defender Carl Starfelt These are some questions, by the way. We'll come to the shout out at the end, but Celtic defender Carl Starfelt has the initials CS, but who was the last Celtic player to have the same initials?
A good question.
That is a good question.
Killian Sheridan.
Is correct. Killian Sheridan in 2010/11.
That was a risk because there's 10 years between that. I was like, is there somebody that's played one game?
So well done, which means for, I think, maybe one of the first times ever, I can't remember.
An
actual tiebreaker question. So the tiebreaker, are you ready? And you can tell who makes the quiz with this question. And whoever gets the closest gets it right. Kieran, you're up first. How many passes did Stephen Welsh complete against St Mirren on Saturday?
I don't know what's a pure ridiculous amount as well, so I'm just feeling...
I'm not going to give you any sort of reaction, so I don't get away to Ryan.
I'm just trying to admit attention to put the bank. I'll go 60.
60, okay.
Seems quite low, but...
Ryan McGinley?
Now, I'm thinking because a lot of our play comes through Welsh at the start, either him or Starfelt, and I know that Turnbull had about 90 odd passes. I'm going to go 79.
Okay, so Kieran says 60. Ryan McGinley says 79. Okay, so I can reveal the winner of this week's the Sellik the Thunder quiz, with the correct answer being 86 passes, is Mr. Ryan McGinley. Well done, mate. Well done. 97% pass accuracy from Stephen Welsh as he gets...
He's been pretty consistent with his passing, by the way. Even last season, he had really good numbers for his passing, so it's good that we're using that to good use. Well,
Ryan, well done. You're the winner, Kieran. Commiserations. You had a good performance there, pulling it back as well.
That was a great quiz again. That was
good. And as I was going to say, big shout out to Matthew Duff. Thank you very much for making the quiz, Matthew. Make sure to follow Matthew on Twitter. It is much appreciated as always. Have some cracking questions there today. A lot of effort. Do you know what? He done this last night after he was on it. He done it at 5 a.m. after he was on it. So fair play to Matthew. Fair play. I'm just hoping that means the answers are correct. So we'll wait and see. But that's it. That does it for today's show as Kieran coughs his lungs up at the end. Thank you very much, Ryan and Kieran, for joining me. We will be back with a special extra episode. I don't know who's going to be on it yet. We'll wait and see. But we'll be back with a special extra episode on either Friday or Saturday. Before the big derby match on Sunday, after we've played at AZ as well, of course. So thanks, lads, for joining me. Make sure to hit like and subscribe. If you're on Spotify, make sure to share out the show, and I'll see you all next time.